All right, folks, welcome to our week 2 today. Monday, this is our week 2 of our 1102 course. First off, I'm wearing a cardigan because it's finally fall in Northeast Florida. That's cause for celebration. So, hooray. To matters at hand with our course, so you guys know that Monday, probably when you guys are watching this, I am furiously at work trying to get those 1101 final essays returned to you. And I'm tacking on the bonus points from the blogs that you guys contributed to during last quarter. It'll probably be around 2 to 3 points per post added on to your final essay grade. Okay. Now, if I'm not able to get them thoroughly graded and returned by today, presuming you are watching this Monday, then I could still grade them. That's fine. You're just not going to be able to go back inside the 1101 course shells, the course module, and actually look at, say, the rubric and things like that. It's just the timing of the system with the school's partnership with the high school. It's very kind of fast-paced, this transition. So this is just kind of the nature of the beast, as it were. And we did have a delay last week because some students were late turning theirs in, and that just slows up the whole process. It slows up my schedule, how I want to attack my daily grading. And if that's thrown out of whack, everything gets pushed back. Unless everything falls neatly in place how I planned it to, there's always the risk of some disarray. Okay, so just hang tight, and they'll be coming back to you. Hopefully you'll be able to actually look at them Monday, the 22nd, and not have any issues with worrying, hey, can I see my grade or not? But if you are not able to look at them by tomorrow, or today, rather, it's Sunday, so I'm calling tomorrow Monday. You guys are probably watching this Monday, so it's today, whatever, time, weird. Okay. You could ask me. You could always ask me, hey, how did I do, or why did I get the grade that I got on that final essay? Can you explain a little further in more detail? And I'm happy to answer that for you. Okay. So let's put that behind us. Let's move on firmly to 1102. So for this week, we have 2 stories to read. One, Catherine Ann Porter's The Jilting of Granny Weatherall, and then we also have Tobias Wolff's Bullet in the Brain, okay? And there are questions associated with both of those stories that are posted in the announcement that is up in Blackboard for this week. So make sure you check that out for what you need to do. Last week, we had the questions for the Edgar Allan Poe, The Telltale Heart story, and also the Eudora Welty, Why I Live at the P.O. Both very different stories, but both containing a particular point of view. As the reader, our understanding of the world, the scene, the setting is filtered through these narrators who are giving us just their view of things, okay? We have their opinions of other characters, of the time and setting, and the chapter 2, which is point of view, kind of asks us to reckon with, hey, how do we assess these narrators? Do we trust them? Are they reliable, unreliable? Are they withholding information? How are they manipulating us as readers? So that is the point of view thread to the chapter. And speaking of the thread to each chapter, you guys should be reading the introduction to each chapter. So for point of view, it's a good idea to read the point of view introductory material before reading the stories. Same thing with our next unit. The Porter and Wolff stories are in the character chapter 3. So it's a good idea to read the intro. You'll learn about stock character, round character, flat character, etc., etc. And in fact, you will need to read that to answer some of the questions. The questions that come at the end of Granny Weatherall and Bullet in the Brain require you to have some knowledge of these terms: flat, stock, round character, etc., etc. Okay. So this week, after I grade those 1101 essays, I have the questions from the Poe and Welty stories, and then you guys had that discussion board that was put up last Wednesday on Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart, a line that really stuck out to me, having to do with the idea of what really is madness, if you really think about it. And the narrator seems to tell us that madness is nothing more than an oversensitivity, an acuteness, an over-acuteness of sensing. Okay, so we could think of madness as our senses dialed to 11, like we're experiencing the world too much in a sense. And I think that's a neat idea, and I think there's some truth to that personally. That's my opinion of it. And I asked you all to kind of reckon with that and talk to each other about, is that what you understand madness to be? Does it make sense? Is that kind of a valid argument there, that madness is nothing more than being too plugged in to how you perceive the world? Okay. I mean, think about it. If you are someone who is really, really emotionally sensitive, things bother you more. You might get frustrated more. You might be more susceptible to flights of emotional volatility. Okay. Are those things the same as madness? Maybe there are some similarities. Maybe they're not one and the same. So I asked you guys to kind of explore that line of logic that the narrator gives in The Telltale Heart. And is he indeed mad? Is it just an episode of madness, do you think? Has he just lost his good sense? Is he being overcome by guilt and shame for having, well, committed murder? Okay, seems like that would probably weigh heavily on one's conscience and one's soul. It's interesting what drives him to murder the man. Is it because of his madness that compels him to do what he does? So, a lot to chew on there, so I hope you guys had fun with that. We have another Edgar Allan Poe piece to read for your second analysis, Annabel Lee, the poem Annabel Lee. The first analysis essay, though, is coming up. I will assign that, I believe it's next week, and that's Virginia Woolf's A Haunted House. And that is in the last chapter for fiction in the Backpack for Literature. I believe it's chapter 8, Stories for Further Reading. So if you guys want to read that, it is a short story, but it's complicated. It's complex. It is very subtle, and you're thinking haunted house. Ooh, this is going to be a spooky story. Maybe in a sense, not necessarily. It does have to do with spirits, ghosts, in a sense, but maybe not in the primary sense you're thinking of, okay? So maybe a good idea to read that now, maybe read it a time or two to kind of really let it settle. I'm going to have an assignment of the essay, the first essay. I will have you respond to a prompt having to do with that story. And I just want to remind you how grades are broken down in 1102. Remember in 1101, your class homework grades, that was 15% of your overall grade. And then the essays were, I think, 15, 20, 20, and 30, if my math is right there. However, for this one, this half of, or this quarter of the semester, the second half of the course, class and homework is no longer 15% of your overall grade. It's now 35%, okay? The point being, you guys tend to do well on the class and homework stuff, so this is your opportunity to keep up that good work, and it'll be worth more. So an A on a classwork homework assignment in 1102 is going to boost you even more than it did in 1101, okay? The analysis essays, the first one on the Virginia Woolf story, 15%. The second one on Edgar Allan Poe's Annabel Lee is 20%. And then the final research essay on Act 2, Scene 1 of Dr. Faustus is 30%. okay? And in due time, I'm going to have a link to Dr. Faustus, the entire play. Probably a good idea to read the whole play, even though I'm asking you to constrain your focus to that one piece that is in our book. If you guys aren't familiar with the story, you're probably going to be a little lost without having read the whole play for some context, okay? So I will be putting that up in due time. It's not up right now, though. So, read your 2 stories this week. Expect your 1101 final essays returned Monday, the 22nd, as best I can. That might, have to filter over to Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, depending on how tomorrow goes. But be on the lookout for it, and I wish you all a wonderful penultimate week of October. Halloween is coming, my favorite time of the year. This is my favorite time of the year, and just for fun, maybe with next week's video, I will have a list of horror movie recommendations, really cool movies I've been seeing on Netflix, different horror series, even, in some movies, because when it's October, I just load up on as much spooky stuff as I possibly can to kind of really fill the month with atmosphere. So I will be giving you guys my picks and recommendations just for fun next week with next week's video. Okay? So everybody, I hope you have a great week ahead, and if you need anything, be sure to reach out for me or to me and Miss Evans as well. And happy reading. Bye-bye. Till next week.